Hello and welcome back to ChäoS at Noah. My name is Maybe Dennis, and last time we continued Kozupi's route where we met with Rimi after being afraid of Kozupi, and then we got to the entrance, we tried to run away, and then Rimi pulled out her D-sword to try to attempt to kill Takumi. But luckily we have our good old friend Kozupi there to knock her out permanently. Yeah, she killed her by slamming her into the wall, and later on we went kind of on a killing spree. We killed Misumi and a bunch of bullies. We went to get help from Senna, and then Kozupi went berserk. She was trying not to kill Senna, but the other part of her was like, oh, I gotta kill Senna. So we killed Senna, and then we kind of ended with meeting up with Suwa, confronting him, and getting shot a whole bunch of times, both Takumi and Kozupi. But Kozupi was also a killing machine herself, so she slashed him right as she got hit with his last bullet. And it ended with Kozupi and Takumi just lying on the flower bed as they slowly pass away. And it was a really fucked up ending, but it was also pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. I ended up enjoying it a lot more than I expected, because it kind of showed a lot of different sides that we haven't seen so far. But right now, we're going to do our last character ending, so that will be for Yua. This will happen in chapter 1, so I'm gonna start from the very beginning. But yeah, this will be the last one before we do the true ending. I did a little research, and found out that the true ending is actually extremely short. Or not like extremely short, like 5 minutes, but it's like 30 or like 40. And even though it is that, I feel like I'm gonna make my own episode for that, just because it's going to be it's gonna be like a finale. And I'll probably get all my thoughts out about this game in that episode. Oh my god. I hate early Takumi. Why am I doing this to myself? I should have started at the choices. But yeah, we're gonna have to make these choices one last time. One last run to chapter 6. And then one last ending. So, our first choice is going to be yes. The second choice is going to be yes. The third choice is going to be yes. And now we just kind of continue on and do nothing. Oh my god, there's always a lot of stuff here that I just don't care about. Oh man, the game really basically made me go through it like 8 times. So this is our first and I believe our only choice for delusions here. We're actually just supposed to do nothing. And then afterwards, we should get a yes-no choice, a series of yes-nos. Yep, right here for the whose eyes are those. So right now, it's just a coincidence. No, it is not. I'm hallucinating. No. Whoever did this is inside the school. Of course, how else would they write it, Takumi? They're taunting me. Yes, you're the only one who knows that phrase, of course. I want to erase it now. Yeah, just do it. Out of sight, out of mind. Misumi walked up to me and grabbed me by the shoulder to shake me. Let me erase it. Out of sight, out of mind. Every word in that phrase was commonly used. It was just some stupid scribbling. I tried to tell myself that, but I started to feel really creeped out. In the end, I quickly erased them, hoping that nobody was watching me. Begone, foul words. And now we're on track again. Okay, well, according to this guide, I need to go all the way to chapter 6. So, I'll stop at anything new. Oh wow, we've already got something new, I think? Shibuya Station in the early morning has a very different face than it does during the day. There were very few teenagers. It was mostly company men and women in suits, packing the train cars full as they headed from the station to their destinations. Somehow, they seemed slow with exhaustion and in a hurry all at once. The students looked the same way. But there weren't that many Suimei Academy students around. To get to Suimei from the station, you had to walk for at least 20 minutes. You had to climb up Dogenzaka Hill too. Most Suimei students who used the train got off at the Shinsten station, the station nearest to the school. Yua Kusunoki, oh there we go, the extra Yua stuff. However, always chose to walk to school from Shibuya Station. She had to wake up a little early to do it, but she didn't mind. Shibuya Station was jam-packed with people, but once you went up Dogenzaka Hill, there weren't nearly as many pedestrians. Yua enjoyed walking in the fresh morning air. Oh, she's gonna find out about New Gen and then start to suspect. We're gonna see how she started to suspect Takumi. Oh, that'd be really cool, actually. She also liked to watch the news on the big televisions outside of Shibuya Station. This morning, like always, she was looking at the big O-front TV as she waited for the signal to change. She gasped, shocked. Text ran from right to left across the bottom of the screen. When she read the text, "Third New Gen case," the first thing she thought of was a boy's face. She never met the boy, never talked to him. She'd just seen his face yesterday morning, but that was more than enough for her to be sure that he was behind the New Gen killings. What the hell? What? What? How did that tip you off that he was a New Gen killer? Maybe we'll see more of that. Okay, there we go. She could remember what had happened clearly. It was at 7 a.m. on the previous day, inside Suime Academy's school building. Oh, was she the one who actually wrote that message and then she saw him freak out about it and that's what made her think, oh, he's fishy. No one else had arrived at school yet, and Yo was hurrying through the empty hallways. She had a stern look on her face, and her eyes were locked dead ahead. There was no hesitation in her stride. She stopped in front of a classroom. Outside of it was a sign reading 2C. She looked up at it once, and went inside without even pausing for a moment. It wasn't her class. She was a third-year student, and normally she'd have no reason to go inside this classroom. Normally, yes. But today, she had a reason. She slowly looked around the empty room and then headed to the blackboard. She looked at the red, yellow, and white pieces of chalk for a moment before settling on the brand new piece of white chalk. Then she began to write something on the blackboard, taking care to make her handwriting look a little worse than it actually was. Okay. So she was actually the one who wrote that. To be honest though, we never actually got an answer to that, and now we do. The only question is why, but I'm sure she'll explain that. Whose eyes are those? She whispered the words she'd written aloud. She set the chalk down and glanced around the classroom again. She whispered to no one in particular. She spoke softly, even though the classroom was empty. I'll be waiting. I'll be watching. Oh my god, I hate this. Oh, I'm gonna hate this ending. I hate overly repetitive stuff, which is already a criticism I've mentioned before, and she is like the epitome of that. Did she have a target on Takumi specifically? I wonder why. She did. Okay, I thought she wrote that to see if anyone would react, but no, she was specifically sniping Takumi. She bit tightly down on her lip. After that, she killed time. Oh, sorry, I misread. I was like, she killed. And I was like, wait, what? She killed time on the roof until it was time for the students of 2C to come to school. 10 minutes before homeroom, she went to the locker in front of the class 2C and watched carefully to see if anyone reacted to the "whose eyes are those" that she'd written. And just as she expected, she saw a boy with a frightened look on his face, trying desperately to erase the words. She later confirmed that it was, in fact, Takumi Nishijo. Oh god. Her whispers were drowned out by an electronic sound that had been modeled after the chirpings of a pigeon. The crosswalk lights at the scramble crossing had turned green. The waves of people began to surge forward once more. But Yua just stood there, unconcerned with the traffic she was blocking, looking up at the text on the huge TV above her. Pop, pop. Okay, oh man, that was actually pretty interesting. But the problem is, it doesn't answer all my questions. I wonder if that's going to be the only extra scene. I'm sure we'll get more. But, like, the major question I have is, how does she know to specifically snipe Takumi? Did someone tip her off? I can understand, like, her writing that in every classroom and testing, but why those words? Like, where did she get those from? Were actually no, they were actually recorded. They were, I believe, in the group Jump. They actually said whose eyes are those, but that footage wasn't actually released until much, much later. A lot of questions I have, but I'm sure we'll get them answered later. I hope. Actually, this game has, I feel like, doesn't resolve all loose ends, but yeah, we'll see later. See ya. Yua Kusunoki had a twin sister, one born right after her. Why did this? We're in the POV of we're in the POV of Takumi. Why do we suddenly go to Yua so quickly? But she died a month ago. It was suicide. A twin sister was, in a lot of ways, a part of yourself. The two of them were far closer than most siblings. She meant everything to Yua, and when she died, it was like losing half of herself. When she heard the news, she cried and cried. She laid down on the bed in her younger sister's room, looking for any trace of the girl who lived there just the day before. Why did she die? Yua couldn't come up with a single reason. It wasn't suicide. Her sister would never do that. Somebody had killed her. As her sadness deepened, she became more and more sure of it. Maybe there was a message from her sister somewhere that she hadn't noticed. Feeling a little guilty, she began to look through her sister's things. She found a diary, and in it were the words, "Oh, that's how she got that phrase." And that's why, oh, okay, now it makes sense. I still don't know why she targeted Takumi Nishijo, but it would make sense that she would target someone who reacted to these words, especially someone who reacted to these words strongly. Whose eyes are those? It was an SOS from her sister. It had to be, but she had no idea what it meant. In desperation, she decided to search for it on the internet. Oh, okay, no, that does connect to Takumi, because he was the one who released that essay, and it was presented in like some kind of, contest, the National Elementary School Essay Contest. And here we can actually see whose eyes are those, author Takumi Nishijo. And after looking him up, she probably found out that he went to her school. So, okay, that all connects. Yeah, that led her to something. The National Elementary School Essay Contest. It was something that the Ministry of Culture had held 6 years ago. The winning essay was titled, "Whose Eyes Are Those?" The author's name was written on the page too, Takumi Nishijo, who would be in the 5th grade at the time. But she couldn't imagine what the relationship between her sister and this Takumi Nishijo was. It seemed to be a dead end. I mean, I feel like because that phrase is not... Actually, no, that phrase might be kind of uncommon. And that was presented in, like, a national thing. So maybe I was wondering, would that be, like, the first search result? Maybe it's possible. I'm not sure. Her chance to investigate further came suddenly. Yua would always pass by Shoto Park on her way to school. Twice a week or so, she'd seen a lonely-looking boy eating a pastry while sitting on the park bench. As she looked at him sitting there, forlorn, for some reason, he began to intrigue her. One day, she was going to go to school alongside a classmate she happened to run into at the station, and she saw him on a bench in his usual spot. When her classmate saw her interest in him, this is what she had said.
あいつ、2年の西条っていう子らしいよ。弟が同じクラスでさ、引きこもりの肝オタなんだって。楠木、あんなやつに興味持つのやめときなよ。
I wonder if her brother is a character we might know, but to be fair, the only 2 male students we know that are in Takumi's class are Misumi and the DQN he stabbed in Kosupi's route. So, either way, it's not good. Nishijo. Nishijo was a very unusual name. This couldn't be a coincidence. Yua quickly got her hands on a student roster for the second-year classes. She found what she was looking for, that name, Takumi Nishijo. But there was still a chance that it might be a different person who just happened to have the same name. So Yua decided to test him. Whose eyes are those? When she wrote those words on the blackboard, he seemed to panic. And it was right after that when the crucified killing has occurred, and someone on the net leaked a witness statement that a Suimake Academy student had been seen running from the scene. Yua was sure of it now. There was something suspicious about Takumi Nishijo. He might have been on the one who killed her sister. The intrigue grows. We're playing detective in the shoes of Yua. Interesting. Oh, okay, we finally reached a part where we might have some new dialogue. I'm not quite sure, but it involves Bond, so sorry about that. I just hit my mic by accident. But since it says it's new, I'll give it a try. Bond arrived at Frisia 30 minutes after the time Momose requested he be there. So right now, in terms of the story, we're at the point where we just basically talked to Senna. And Senna and Kozupi, we were together, we got the Garigari-kuns, we took a picture. And that's the last thing I remember. I think there was a Noseby part in between, but we're at Frisia. Okay. Our Bond come in a little bit faster. Momose yelled as soon as he arrived. Bond shrugged and gave her a half-hearted smile as he walked over to her desk. I think we're currently in chapter 7, so we're getting close to where the ending happens. He hadn't brought her any sweets today, a decision which he was beginning to regret. Uh-oh, you messed up. He's busy killing people.
若い子をこき使ってバンちゃんは楽してるわけね。
いやいや、俺もちゃんとやってるよ。昨日だって徹夜でいろいろ調べてたんだぜ。
He's always working. He just seems like he's messing around.
おかげで最近の女子高生の生態についてはかなり詳しくなった。
Oh, I remember this part.
あんたね、
Bro.
呆れて物も言えないわ。
で、こうして俺を呼びつけたってことは、あの子と連絡取れたってこと？
今来てるわ。
さすがももちゃん。
That's my Momo.
ちなみに可愛い子かい
Momose gave the grinning Bond a slap on the head. She put her wrist into it too. It hurt pretty bad.
いつまでもバカなこと言ってんじゃないわよ、エロ親父。
冗談だって。
Bond had asked Momose for a favor. He wanted to talk to somebody involved in the New Gen cases directly and asked Frisia to make it happen. His questions were, for the moment, not going to be directly linked to the police investigation. He couldn't talk to her in an official capacity, at least not without somehow getting the rest of the team involved. And here comes Yua, here to give you some more information that we didn't see in the other routes, probably. Mose headed for a corner of the office, motioning for Bond to follow her. There was a small space there, surrounded by shelves lined with files. I wonder if in this ending, or why in this scene, she's going to firmly believe that it's Takumi, because of the whose eyes are those and him acting on it. While, like, in the other ones, she kind of gave up and said, no, I guess I was wrong. But I wonder if in this one, she's gonna hold tight to those beliefs. And that's what's gonna be the bulk of what's going to happen in Yua's ending. She's going to constantly suspect him. This space was served as a meeting room for talking with clients. There are 2 sofas, each with room for 2 people, and both far too big for the cramped little area. When Bond followed Momose inside, he saw a girl sitting there. She was wearing a Suimei Academy uniform. Her shoulders were slumped, and she was looking down. She looked exhausted.
ごめんね。お待たせしちゃって。
The girl looked up in surprise when Momose spoke. Her glasses fell forward a little, and she adjusted them with her fingers.
いえ、平気です。
She looked a little scared as she bowed shallowly to Bond. He was kind of hurt by this. Bond always tried his hardest to try, really got me, and come off as unthreatening. He realized, though, that he still must be giving off the intimidating air of a professional police officer, though. It's something that he would have to keep working on, what he realized. Well, you won't have too much time, unfortunately.
はい。
Rip Bond, he was the best boy in this game.
亡くなったミヤさんの双子の姉。それで間違いないかな。
Yua flinched a little before nodding. The first New Gen case was a group dive. One of the victims who jumped was a girl named Mia Kusunoki.
まあ、そんな緊張しなさんな。君を取り調べようなんて思っちゃねえんだ。That's
what they all say.
ちょっと聞いていいかい？
I won't let the feds get me.
ユアちゃんは妹さんが亡くなったことについてどう思う？
And this is a part where Momose goes like, ah, Banchan!
ちょっとバンちゃん。
I knew it! I mean, I already experienced this, but I remembered that part.
あ、悪いね。職業病ってやつか。気を使うような言い方できなくってな。
Everything here seems like stuff I've already seen
気に
before.
なってたんだ。捜査本部でも話題になってたんだが、楠木美也さんの遺族は奇妙だって。
Like, I don't even know if I need to keep this in because it's the same.
ばあちゃん。
いえ、いいんです。
Momose had almost leapt out of her chair at Bond's rude question, but Yua herself stopped her.
私もおかしいって思いますから。
はあ、
集団ライブで飛び降りた5人には自殺する理由なんてなかった。家族や友人はみんなそう主張している。だがミヤさんの家族だけは違った。
Bond took his fan out of his belt and began to wave it in his face.
何も主張しなかった。あっさり受け入れたって聞いてる。あまりに何も言わなさすぎて奇妙だったってな。なんでだい？
お父さんもお母さんもみやちゃんが死んでからおかしくなっちゃったんです。
There was pain in her voice.
最初はみやちゃんの事件の知らせを受けた日はそれでも泣いていたんです。お父さんもお母さんもとても辛そうでした。でも次の日の朝、なぜか二人は楽しそうに笑っていたんです。みやちゃんが死ぬ前と全く同じに戻ってたんです。
This is exactly the same.
たった一日で。私、わけがわからなくて、二人はみやちゃんのこと忘れようとしてるんじゃないかって思って、そうしたらお父さんが笑いながら。
So, like, based off the main story, we could kind of see where people's endings were going to lie, except for maybe Rimi. Rimi, we know that she was going to be a good person and continue doing, like, you know, stuff that would help Shogun or Takumi to the best of her ability, because that's what it was like in the main route. For Kozue, I mean, we knew that she was going to be a psycho murderer because she's really unhinged. For Senna, we knew that it was going to revolve around her father and her revenge and getting over her mother and sister's death, because that was a vital part of her character. For Ayase, we know it was going to relate to Gladiol and her delusions. And for Nanami, we knew it was going to be about just being Takumi's little sister. And for Yua, we know that's going to be about her relationship with her twin, because that was basically her most defining characteristic in the main route, where, you know, we found out more about her and how she thought of herself, how she thought of her sister. Potentially, maybe a swap, I'm not sure, because that's still on the table. If they made it really unclear what exactly had happened in the main route, because everything she had was a delusion made by the machines, but they also knew information that just random people wouldn't know. So it's possible that, you know, the machines made her conjure a delusion of her sister, but it was actually based off fact, based off her own mind. So the machine was making her have delusions that she would have. So I'm kind of wondering if, because they always do this with twins, I'm kind of wondering if Yua is actually going to be Mia. And maybe after Mia's death, because Mia, if I recall, Mia always gave up a lot of her life to make sure that Yua succeeded, and Yua had, like, everything. But so as a result, I wonder if Yua died and then Mia wanted to have her life, because if Yua was gonna live it, then she should have it, because she wanted Yua to continue on, or, you know, succeed. So that's where my theory is at the moment, because it was brought up by the, what was it called, the delusion Mia, but I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm just kind of saying this because currently we're going through a lot of stuff that's treading the same old ground, but they're going to do it for a reason. The reason is going to explain more about this situation with her and her sister. And so far it's all been the same, but I want to know where it differs and where things are going to start veering more towards a Yua route rather than a something, less.
お前に妹なんていないよって。みやちゃんが残した洋服とか靴とかを見せても全然取り合ってくれないんです。
We bought them all for you. Yes, yes,
それはお
yes.
前のために予備で買ってあったものだって。そうやってお父さんたちはニュースからも警察の話からも目を背けて記憶からみやちゃんのことを消し去ろうとしてるんです。
つまり双子じゃなかったことに。
それで警察にもうちは一人っ子だって言って追い返してたわけか。
私とみやちゃんは一卵性で見た目は瓜二つなんですけど。
Identical twins. I've never seen a piece of media where identical twins were a thing and they didn't utilize that, I was gonna say that feature, but their identity as identical twins to do some shenanigans.
あの子は妹は親から嫌われていました。あの子はいつも自分の気持ちを押し殺して私のことを一番に考えてくれていたんです。
As Yua talked, she remembered the memories of her old life. For example, one year when she was in elementary school, her parents had bought a present, a single giant stuffed bear. Oh, we saw this again. Yua was excited, but Mia said that she didn't like the stuffed animals and ignored it. Her parents had disliked how Mia had refused to act like a little child should. Still, Yua had quietly offered to share the stuffed animal with her, but Mia had refused. I don't need a stuffed animal. You can have it, was all she said. A month or so later, though, when Yua had gotten tired of the stuffed animal, she woken up late at night to see something surprising. And it was Mia playing with the stuffed animal. Yeah, I remember this. Mia was holding the stuffed bear and talking to it with such happy look on her face. Yua had never seen her sister look so happy. It was only then that Yua realized that her sister was lying about not wanting the bear. She had been lying so that her sister could have it all to herself. You know, at one point, I think like this kind of self-sacrifice is endearing. But when it's too much to the point where it's hurting the person you're trying to help, which, I feel like this would happen to Yua, it gets kind of like annoying and in a painful way because you're kind of sacrificing yourself for something that nobody necessarily wants. At the end, it's going to be kind of for self-satisfaction, making yourself thinking that you're doing the right thing when you're kind of not doing things in a right way. And it's going to make everyone kind of like sad. And it sounds like this kind of attitude that, at least our current depiction of Mia, is an extremely self-sacrificing girl who wanted the best for her sister. I feel like in the long run, something like this is going to backfire. The next day, Yua looked under Mia's pillow and found a cute picture of a bear she'd drawn. Mia had been sleeping with it in her arms after Yua got tired of the stuffed animal. Things like that had happened over and over again for the last 18 years. It was always Yua who blew out the candles on the birthday cake. Mia would say, "That's stupid, I'm not gonna do it," and her parents would get angry. Yua had made it into Suimei Academy, a private school, but Mia had deliberately behaved badly in class, lowering her grades and making sure that she got sent to a public one. Because like a thing like this, right? If the sisters truly loved each other, then seeing Mia kind of degrade herself like this and not accept, gifts or even like just seeing Mia disrespect herself like this, I feel like even though Yua is the one who gets everything, who gets, presents, gets to blow the cake, I feel like she's going to feel sad for Mia and it's going to hurt her more in the long run. At least that's how I would like feel or interpret it, but maybe I don't know how someone in her position would feel. Her parents hadn't had the money to send them both to private schools. No matter what Yua tried to do for Mia, Mia would always put her big sister first, even if it meant taking other people's hate on her. Oh, taking other people's hate. Or making other people's hate her. Ah, I missed it. I don't know. What did it say?
結局みやちゃんの優しさに甘えて今まで自分だけいい思いをしてきました。みやちゃんがいなくなって初めてもっとあの子のために何かできることがあったはずだってすごく後悔して私が代わりに 知ってあげればよかっ
Maybe you did? I don't know. What happened?
た。しかも、挙句に、親に存在そのものを忘れられてしまうなんて。
Maybe to be fair, maybe the gimmick of this twin thing in this ending is the fact that they're essentially, you know, I don't want to say interchangeable, but like replaceable. It was a situation where if one sibling died, you can easily just ignore the other one. So that her parents, even if Mia had died, they still had an identical twin, so they didn't have to care about it. Maybe that's the twin gimmick in this visual novel, which would still be really messed up, but there's always a gimmick with them in media. There's always a gimmick.
こんなの、あんまりです。あんまりにも、悲しいです。
That was all the talking that she could do. She took off her glasses and put her hands over her eyes and began to cry. Momose sat next to her, kindly patting her on the back. Oh, sorry. The fact that like the parents are saying there's only one twin or one child, it reminded me of an anime that I have not actually watched it. I've only seen like the description or synopsis or like I think maybe read one chapter of the manga. I forgot, but it's called Miki and Dadi. I think it was called, where I'm not exactly sure on the premise because I didn't watch it or read it, but I think it was about a family who adopted a child, and the child was actually had a twin. And instead of separating them, they both went with the family, and they would essentially just take each other's place when needed, always hiding the fact that they were twins, even though there are two of them. And it was supposed to be a really unusual but funny anime about gaslighting these parents. I don't actually know what happened in it, other than like the basic premise. But I'm just imagining, what if that happened here? That'd be kind of funny. It's like, yeah, we always had one child, but there were actually two.
それでゆあちゃん、
Oh, whoops. That was all the talking she could do. She took off her glasses and put her hands over her eyes as she began to cry. Mose sat next to her, kindly patting her on the back.
は一人で事件のことを調べていたらしいの。みあちゃんに一体何があったのか知るためにね。
Okay, I can't wait to see when Bond reveals that it can't be Takumi Nishijo.
そりゃ大変だったろ
そして一人の人物を突き止めた。
Huh? Mose looked over to Bond, still holding Yua close.
西條匠くんよ。
なるほど。
Naruhodo. I feel like I probably made that same exact joke before. Anyways, Bond stroked the stubble on his chin and leaned forward.
いつだったか西条と追跡劇をしてたっていう女子高生の話を所轄のデカから聞いたんだが。
Yep, that's me.
もしかしてゆあちゃんだったりする？
Yep, that's me. She nodded, looking like she was sorry.
興味あるな。詳しく聞かせてもおーと思ったけどちょっとごめんよ。
Oh, he got a call this time. Did he get a call last time? Bond chuckled and bobbed his head at Yua and Momose. He'd been cut off by the sound from his phone, coming from within his suit pocket. He quickly took it out and looked at the LCD screen. It was showing Sua's name. I thought this happened much later. Because, like, I could have sworn in the original route, they had, like, this little trip, bought, like, a little Gary Froggy, it came back, and then Yua called him and was like, whoops, I'm in danger.
もしもし、どうした？
Oh, no, this isn't happened. I'm not thinking of the same moment. This is when, Sua reports the 7th murder. I think it was a DQN one.
なんだと？
Sua's voice was tense. Bond could hear the sound of other police officers frantically running around him. From the sound of it, Sua was at the station. Bond's eyes went wide, and then he bit his lip bitterly. Mose and Yua could tell from his demeanor that something had happened, and they were looking at him worried.
それぞれの上半身と下半身を別々に入れ替えてテグススリートスね。それで縫い付けられてたっす。それと額にそれぞれ QDN って読める傷が。
You know, part of me was thinking I wonder how they got killed, but then I remembered in the ending B or the Crying Sky, they actually showed what had happened to each one of the killers, but it was actually censored in this version. I tried to download the Committee of Zero patch, and put it in my Switch, but I think I did it wrong because I didn't get any of it. In hindsight, it was censored a lot.
何かのメッセージか。
さあ、そこまでは。それと気になることが。司法解剖の結果分かったんですけど、外車の胴体の切断部はノコギリとか包丁とかそういう刃物で切断されたものじゃないって。
If they weren't sawed in half, you shouldn't say they were sawed in half.
どういう意味だ。
なんか強い力で引きちぎられたそうっす。
引きちぎられた。
Bond repeated to himself as he scratched his head violently with the hilt of the fan.
まるで怪獣だな。あるいは最近流行りの魔法使いとかな。
先輩、それマジで言ってんすか？
It's still like really samey, man. Why won't this let me skip? You know, I'm gonna check something real quick. Okay, so I checked something real quick. I didn't realize we were already in chapter 8. This is called Moon and Sun, so we are actually already on Yua's ending. Huh, didn't realize that. Okay. Whenever I skip through the story, I always kind of end up honestly falling asleep and just kind of going through it, not mashing, but pressing my right bumper button every once in a while to make sure that I skip stuff. But we're already in Yua's ending, so it's called the Sun and Moon, or Moon and Sun, I forgot. Okay. That's why they won't let us skip anything. He hung up the phone. So are we in Takami's POV now? What time is this? No. By the time Yua finished her conversation with Momose and Bon, whoa, wait, what? By the time Yua finished her conversation with Momose and Bon left Frisia. Okay, I was not imagining that. That is grammatically incorrect. So I guess they finished their conversation and Bon left Frisia. Oh, okay. I guess it is I don't know if it's grammatically correct, but it's supposed to say by the time you finished your conversation with Momose and Bon had left Frisia, the sky was dark. Sorry, it's just that was hard to read. I needed to vent my frustration. She told them everything she suspected about Takumi Nishijo and showed them all the research she had done. A police detective and the head of a private investigation company. If the two of them could be persuaded, the police might go to arrest Takumi Nishijo, or at least she'd hope so. Takumi Nishijo needed to be arrested. She knew how much he was suffering, so she wanted him to turn himself in, but since he wasn't willing to, she'd have to get the police to arrest him. That had been what she thought anyways. But surprisingly, Bon had told her that Takumi Nishijo wasn't a suspect anymore. It was unbelievable. Something she didn't want to accept. Ah, I see. I knew it. Why would they refuse to believe her theory? It was so clear that Takumi Nishijo was behind the murders. Yua bit her lip and headed towards the station at a fast pace. Yeah, in this one, she's not gonna accept the results and be like, no, I know I'm right. You are wrong. I am going to confront him myself. Because, like, in every other ending, or every relevant ending, so... Like, sorry, not relevant. Relevant's not the right word. Every non-Nanami ending and non-Yua ending, Takumi has always been like, oh god, I can't get my D-sword. I need to talk to someone, and I asked them to protect me. But in this one, like... She did that for Rimi, for Ayase, for Senna, and Kozupi, but he would never go to Yua. So the only way that her ending could really work, like an ending tale to her, would be if she went to him, and that's what's going to happen. She's not going to accept the details of the investigation, and she's going to confront him directly. She needed to get home and do more research. She needed to find proof that they couldn't ignore. Then she showed it to Bon and proved that she was right. Well, hi Suwa, the Rio Nugent killer, the one who probably killed your sister. Someone called her name out of nowhere. She jerked a little and then stopped moving. Shibuya's not safe these days. Girls, make sure you're not out alone at night. She remembered the teacher telling her that during homeroom, and froze stiff. The man who called out to her was a young and friendly looking. She recognized him from somewhere, but she couldn't remember where. did we ever see her meet with Suwa actually? I don't know if we have. He pulled out the police badge out of his pocket, just high enough for her and nobody else to see. Then he quickly put it away.
集団ダイブの後、一度
Ah,
楠
there we
木さん
go.
のお宅に伺ったことありますよ。その時にユアちゃんともいろいろお話ししたんすけどね。
I feel like if you actually know, it was only a month ago. Actually, maybe a little bit more than a month ago. But damn, he really remembered her name from one interaction.
すいません。思い出しました。その説は、どうも。
Yua bowed to him. She'd been a mess after the incident. She didn't remember his face at all. But she did remember a detective who was nice enough to listen to everything she had to say. That was a conversation where she realized how bizarre her sister's death was. In that respect, she was grateful to him, not knowing that she was grateful to her murderer.
さっきまでバン刑事と一緒だったんじゃないですか？
バンさんとお知り合いなんですか？
Yeah, I'm gonna kill him. I mean, what?
そりゃ同じ警視庁捜査一課っすから。自分の先輩っすよ。いつも怒られてます。
He's always getting mad at me for some reason or another. Man, maybe he should have gotten mad at you a little bit more.
よっぽど若い女の子と話せるのが嬉しかったんすね。ここだけの話っすけど、今日ユアちゃんと会うって自分に教えてくれた時の先輩、鼻の下伸ばしちゃってどう見てもスケベ親父って感じだったっす。
Oh man, he's really not he's really throwing Bon under the bus.
できれば自分も同席したかったんすけど、捜査から抜け出せなくて。そうそう、ユアちゃんのご両親には連絡行ってるんすかね。多分行ってると思うんすけど。どうかな。
Oh right, they supposedly caught the new gen killer at this
連
point.
絡と言いますと？
ああ、いや、集団ダイブのね、犯人が使ったと思われる遺留品が見つかったんすよ。
We found something that we think was used by the killer.
本当ですか？
A wheelchair? Yua hadn't heard anything about this. She found herself edging closer to him.
ええ、どんなものだと思うっすか？ま、最近別の事件でマスコミが散々取り上げてるんで有名だと思うんすけど。なんと、ダーススパイダーのヘルメットっす。
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow, where did you find that? Oh, I found it in my backyard. I mean, what?
それを、集団ダイブの犯人も被っていたんですか？
そう。ネットに事件の様子を撮影したビデオが流出したっすよね。あれを解析した結果、わかったんすよ。それにしても、ダーススパイダーといえば、例の渋谷エスパー騒動の少年が有名っすよね。西条匠くんでしたっけ？
Well, she's going after him for sure now.
なんで彼が集団ダイブの犯人と同じようにダーススパイダーのヘルメットを持ってたんすかね。
When she heard those words, black emotions welled up inside her. It was something like a certainty now. Just a bit ago, Bon and Mose had been telling her that her theory was wrong. The fact that they rejected it only made it her more certain now that this was the final piece of the puzzle.
さてと、それじゃ自分フリージアに行くんで、この辺で失礼し。
You can hear him say that, like, plan success. After he was finished talking, Seal waved and walked off. Yule was left alone. She was there, unmoving, head slumped forward.
彼だわ。
She whispered softly, no one in particular.
彼なの。やっぱり彼だった。彼しかいない。彼に間違いない。彼が妹を殺したのよ。彼がミアを殺したのよ。
Yeah. Whew. Okay, it's getting pretty interesting now. Because Yua is one of the most active characters in this entire game. Nightheart has entered the room. Current members, 2. Hey. Hey, Nightheart. I've been waiting. We got a new nice guy. Oh, it's going to be the same thing. It's a nice guy NG. I'm going to skip through this real quick. Because we've seen this like 7 times now. Another new gen murder. What else is happening? Blah, blah. I wonder if I can skip this. No, I cannot. Click the link. And Bam! DQN puzzle. I want to do the fast skip. We've seen this so many times. And then it's usually about this time when he's like, oh no, who do I go to? The last video I saw showed the faces of 3 murdered men. I recognize their faces. It's them.
昨日僕に絡んできた。
Okay, come on. Kozupi. So, here he says, oh, it's not Kozupi. I know for sure because, you know, I was there. And then he'd be like, oh, who can I ask for help? Was it Shogun? Was he taunting me? Telling me that I was next? There was a chance that Shogun would come back. He seemed to be coming after me as some sort of game, which meant that the next quest might start whenever he felt like it. That scared me. Rimi, help me! Where'd she gone? Wasn't she supposed to protect me? She's here. Somebody was here. I looked at the clock on the computer. It was just after 8 in the evening. Who could be coming at this hour? Rimi. It had to be Rimi. She'd finally come to save me. She said that she'd stay with me. Of course she'd come. She'd certainly taken her time, though. I hurried to the door, feeling that salvation was at hand, and I undid the padlock, locking the door from the inside. And then I flung open the door.
Rim!
I tried to say Rimi's name, but suddenly, somebody put a hand over my mouth. In an instant, I started to panic. I didn't even get to see who it was. I tried to knock the hand away, but before I could, they pressed their body weight against me. I started to stagger backwards. I tried as hard as I could to stay standing. I flailed my hands about, trying to stay upright. I lowered my head and bit their hand as hard as I could. Whoever they weren't saying a word. They kept trying to press themselves up against me. I was biting pretty hard, but their hand wasn't budging. They pushed me back and tripped me, and I fell, unable to stay upright anymore. Oh, that sounds pretty painful. I hit the back of my head hard against, and almost passed out. My vision was swimming, and I couldn't even tell what position I was lying on the floor in. They still had their hands up against my mouth. It was hard to breathe. As my mind started to slip into the darkness, I used all the energy I had to look up at the face of the person in front of me. Oh god. I kind of hate the fact that a lot of Takami's illusions are like, you know, they're delusions, but because everything is so fucked up in this game, half of them end up being like pinpoint on the mark. Like, what the hell? Like here about Yua being after him because she is convinced that she is the new gen killer and she's going to go to the police and get them to arrest him. That was like almost right, like completely right. The only thing that didn't succeed was Yua convincing the police in this route. Yua? That's right, I'd forgotten about her. I've been so focused on Shogun that I've forgotten about her, his servant. Okay, that part's wrong, but either way, panic seized me and I struggled and tried as hard as I could to escape. Yua's whole body weight was on top of me. I couldn't get up. A girl was pressing herself up against me, but there was no time to get horny over it. I didn't have it in me to enjoy the feeling of her body. Bro, you're right. That was not the time. You shouldn't even think about it. The only thing in my mind was an instinctive fear that if I didn't run, I'd be killed. There was a little trickle of blood falling from her hand where I'd bit her, but she was still pressing hard, as hard as before. Her hands were incredibly strong. She was pressing my jaw as hard as she could, and even digging her nails into my cheek. I was hit by a stabbing pain. I could hear her whisper between ragged breaths, and I shivered. I grabbed the tuft of her long hair and yanked it, trying to fight back. She winced but didn't get off. With her open hand, she grabbed the hand I was using to pull her hair and dug her nails into it. It hurt so bad I let go. When I did, she pinned my hand to the floor. Her glasses had tilted slightly with her nose during the struggle, and I could see the tears in her eyes from when I pulled her hair. But her eyes were endlessly cold as she stared at me, just like at Shoto Park. Shoto Park. What was she talking about? Was she still saying that I was a new gen killer? I didn't kill anybody. She was the one who was here to kill me. Staring back into her cold gaze was terrifying. I learned in that moment that you shouldn't lock eyes with crazy people, and there's some eyes that are just abnormal, insane. I looked away, praying to wake up from this nightmare, but
目をそらさないで。
her face got closer. I could feel her unsteady breathing on my cheeks.
私を見て。
I'm surprised she didn't say that like 5 more times. Her breath was still so hot. She was so close that even if I looked away, she'd still be in my field of vision. I thought about trying to give her a headbutt, but I was pinned too tightly to try.
教えてあげる。あなたが知らないあなたを教えてあげる。あなたの中にはもう一人のあなたがいるの。
DID, dissociative identity disorder, multiple personalities. That's what she said at Cafe when we fought like this. But that was just her delusion. How could Yua know more about me than I knew myself?
西条くん、まだ知らないの？自覚できていないの？何も知りませんでしたって許されると思ってるの？今まで何度も忠告してきたのに、どうして聞いてくれないの？あなたの中にはもう一人の人格、将軍がいる。その人格は許されないことをしているの。これ以上放置はできない。これ以上人殺しはさせない。あなたは早く病院へ行って治療すべき。それが嫌だと言うなら、私はあなたを警察に突き出す。将軍を放置することは西条くんの罪よ。あなたも人殺しに加担しているんだって理解して。
I mean, she's completely wrong in this. I don't know what to say. I can't understand that.
理解できるよね。
I haven't killed
理
anybody.
解してもらわなきゃ困る。
I don't have multiple personalities.
理解すべきよ。
Multiple personalities only exist in manga and novels. I refuse to accept. Actually, in this world, you actually have several people that have it, probably.
出てきて。私はあなたと話がしたいの。聞こえているんでしょ？将軍。
Shogun's not me. It's a real person, a different person. He uses a wheelchair and shows up at weird times, and he's always reading my mind, and he's got a voice like a little kid and a wrinkled skin like an old man. He's my enemy. He's not me. Just the thought of it makes me sick. Wait, didn't you work for Shogun? I thought she did. But it looked like she really thought I was Shogun.
西条くん、自重して。あなたは少し眠っていて。
He's gonna pass out, and she's like, he's not coming. Where's Shogun? Oh god, I've made a terrible mistake.
将軍にその体を渡して。
I can't do that. I don't have multiple personalities. I tried to tell her that, but with her hand over my mouth, all that came out were muffled moans.
出てきなさい。出てきて。出てきて。出られないの？出てこられるはずよ。出たいでしょ。出てこい。人殺し。
Huh? I started to cry. My body went limp. I didn't have the strength to resist. I was just tired. Why does all this stuff have to happen to me? Why does she have to say all this crap to me? What did I ever do to you? This wasn't fair. This crazy delusional woman was stalking me, and there was nobody here to save me. Was she gonna kill me here? Even if I did make it through today, there was no guarantee I'd survive tomorrow. Shogun could appear at any moment. Was I going to have to spend the rest of my life living in fear and jumping at shadows? No, please, no. I don't want to keep living like this. Maybe I'd be better off going crazy. Maybe I'd be better off dead.
どうして泣くの？
She slowly took her hand off my mouth. She lifted her body off my chest. With the weight gone, I felt a lot
将
better.
軍が出てきたの？
I shook my head limply.
うっざりなんだ。いっそ殺せ。
殺さない。私が殺させない。あなたは罪を償うべきなのよ。
You've got the wrong number. Please listen to me.
そして真実を語るべき。死んで逃げることは許さない。許さないわ。許すわけにはいかないの。
将軍は別にいる。ニュージェネの犯人はそいつだよ。
将軍はあなたよ。 あなたなの。あなたしか考えられない。
Oh, there's the old you I know, the one who keeps saying the same got that thing over and over again. Nothing I said was getting through to her. She was only interested in her own ideas. She was convinced that they were completely right. There was no sense in resisting.
将軍、出てきて、出てきてよ。
How do you, if someone has multiple personalities, how do you get the other one to come out? Because I think it's made because, like, as a self-protection mechanism, but, like, I don't know anyone that has it, or at least has come out to me as having it. I don't think I have it. But, like, if you had to, like, do something to, like, for example, interrogation, and someone literally doesn't know that they have another personality, or even if they do know, how do you get it out? Do you just like traumatize them and get it to come out that way? Because that sounds really messed up.
出てきてって言ってるでしょ。どうして出てこないの？あなたがそこにいるのは分かってるのよ。絶対に将軍を引き出してみせるわ。私は諦めないから、それまで絶対に逃がさないから。
Suddenly, she stood up and closed the container's open door. She leaned over and picked up the padlock and locked it, and then she put the key in her uniform pocket. I misread that as put it in her mouth, so I thought she was going to swallow and be like, you can no longer escape. What was she doing? What was this girl thinking?
逃がさないから。
She looks like she's about to pull out like a knife and like be a character in a fighting game. She whispered coldly, as if she was talking to herself, not me. Well, that was interesting. I don't know how you're gonna romance her like this, Takumi. There are a lot of fast food spots in Shibuya, but all of them were filled with young people. It took a lot of courage for a middle-aged man to come there alone. You felt out of place, and you didn't belong. Yasuji Ban thought these things to himself as he sat there, drinking his coffee. Surrounding him were groups of teenagers talking happily. The coffee in the paper cup was already cold. There was a clear plastic file on his table. Inside was a vast number of memos he had taken, and a few copies he made of the official investigation reports. Of the latter, there weren't many, or there weren't very much. Wait, why would you take, like, official documents of current crimes to a freaking public place, or, like, even less, why would you go to, like, a McDonald's? You know, kids go there. Dude, what are you doing? He'd been there for an hour, alone, going over his notes again. As for why he was doing it in such a public place, just the other day, he'd been taken off the New Gen Task Force, but he was still investigating it on his own. The copies he made, which of course were certainly not to be removed from police buildings, had several images attached to them. The images showed one of the victims of the group dive, the first New Gen case. Mia Kusunoki. Ban had taken an interest in her after speaking with her older sister Yua yesterday. After what she said about Mia, he decided to look into her himself. Originally, he was focused on the rumors about the strange girl with the sword that were going around Shibuya, and this was only a secondary concern. Oh, he was talking about Senna! But after going through all the documents, something felt strange. There were little things which didn't... Wait, what? There were little things which, when viewed in isolation, were easy to miss. Maybe they didn't matter. Maybe they had nothing to do with the case. But when viewed as a part of the whole, they just felt wrong. The feeling was especially strong after hearing what Yua had said yesterday. He looked at the document in front of him. It read, after the dive, glasses were found amongst Mia Kusunoki's possessions. Glasses were found. So Mia wore glasses, but... Wait, no, Yua wore glasses, but Mia didn't. At least from Yua's, like, delusion of Mia. Wait. What? So, did they swap? That was what bothered him. Okay, so this, I mean, either way, it's still completely wrong to take these files away, but he... I guess he's not supposed to be on the case, so he's already messing up. So, I guess might as well do it in public? I still don't understand. That was what bothered him. He thought through all the things the task force had found during its investigation. He took a sip of his coffee and sighed. Not a single picture of Mia Kusunoki taken before she died showed her wearing glasses. It was always Yua, her older sister, who wore glasses. He had the result of Mia's physicals too. They all showed her with vision of 1.5 in both eyes. There was no reason at all for her to wear glasses. Okay, so Mia didn't need to wear glasses, but our current Yua is wearing glasses. So, like, at this point, the person who jumped off wore glasses, it seems. And supposedly it's Mia at this point. But Mia never needed to wear glasses, and before she jumped, she also had like really good sight, so there's no point. Unlike her social butterfly of a sister, Mia Kusunoki was a quiet girl who liked anime. Oh, that matched what Yua Kusunoki had said about her. Oh, okay, so the two things, the glasses, about like the person who jumped having glasses, and the younger sister liking anime, I think it is slowly pointing to maybe put them potentially swapping at one point. And maybe like the big delusion that really affected Yua was like the one affecting her parents was only one child. The one affecting her is I am actually Yua. So I think I might be right. I think she might be Mia, because or the Yua we know liked anime. She talked about Bloodtoon a lot with Takumi. She said things that she wouldn't have known unless she either was a fan or researched it specifically to target Takumi, which honestly isn't out of the question. The kids who died in the group dive were all friends, but according to the information he had, they hadn't met in real life until the day they died. They were all internet friends who decided to meet up in real life. Of course, their online conversations had all been tracked down and analyzed. There was nothing in them to indicate that they were going to commit suicide. Oh, so that means that... What kind of online friends were they? So Mia was supposed to go, but Mia... Wait, what? Mia Kusunoki... Wow, if she wasn't a social butterfly, or if she wasn't even, like, honestly social, why did she have, like, that many friends that were gonna meet up? Maybe you don't have to be a social butterfly to do that? And several hours before the incident, two teenage girls, likely twins, had been seen entering a fast food place in Shibuya. Bon looked around. The fast food restaurant where they had been seen was this one. He talked to the witnesses, an employee here, just a little while ago. They talked for a while before they'd gone into the bathroom together. They hadn't come out for 10 minutes or so. What had they been doing in the bathroom? He stared at the girls' bathroom for... the girls' bathroom for a few moments before realizing that he probably looked like a weird old pervert to the kids around him. He chuckled and went back to looking at the window. Did they swap places there? That's kind of weird. I don't really know what to think about this. Huh. 18 hours had passed since Yua had broken into my room. I was tied up to one of my bunk bed poles with my hands tied behind my back. Fortunately, I'd been tied sitting down, so that wasn't tiring, but the cords were digging into my wrists. I've been more or less out of it for about 3 of the 18 hours, but since I hadn't been able to get any real sleep, I was having trouble keeping my eyes open. Damn it, I'm not into bondage, okay? Find someone else to tie up. Yua was sitting on the sofa, staring at me. She'd been there all night. All she did was sit there and glare at me. Didn't she get tired? But what was the point of all this anyway? Yua was convinced I had DID, but I didn't. No matter how long she waited, Shogun wasn't going to show up. After she tied me up, she'd given me a chance to talk. I used it to try and convince her. I spent hours on it, but she wasn't listening. She was so stubborn after a few hours, I finally gave up. And then...
あなたが将軍を生み出したんです。あなたが将軍なんです。
No, it's actually the complete opposite.
現実逃避の手段。将軍はあなた自身であり、同時にあなたではない別の存在。もう一人のあなた。あなたの負の側面。あなたの弱い心を守るための存在。あなたの狂気。快楽殺人者。手段は選ばない。殺す相手も選ばない。殺すことが存在理由。誰でもよかったんですか? 本当にミーアはなぜ選ばれたんですか？
I don't know.
答えて、答えてよ。
Oh man. Okay, I do know some people who are just extremely stubborn about their ideals and their thoughts about things. So like at the very least, I can relate to Takumi in the fact that he's talking to a brick wall.
答えてください。答えてほしい。答えないと許しません。
She kept whispering the same things over and over. She sounded crazy. This was a small room and I couldn't put my hands over my ears either. I was forced to listen. I thought I'd go crazy myself. I tried to come up with a way to run. I tried to tell her that I needed to go to the bathroom and seeing if I could escape that way. But it didn't work. She untied me and let me go to the bathroom, but she didn't give me a moment's privacy. Even when I was using the toilet, she was watching me from right behind. And she was still whispering too. How long was she gonna keep this up? It was possible that she might decide to change her mind and just kill me at any minute. It wasn't safe for me to go to sleep. Of course, even when awake, I didn't think I could protect myself.
何がきっかけ？どうすれば出てくるんですか？肉体的苦痛？精神的苦痛？性的衝動？トラウマ？偶然？
And then she suddenly fell silent. She was still staring at me though. The room was dead silent. The silence just made me more nervous. Suddenly, I heard the sound of a rumbling belly. I was hungry too, since I hadn't had anything to eat or drink, but it wasn't meat. So Yua was hungry then. Of course, even though she must have known I'd heard her stomach rumble, her expression didn't change a bit. A normal girl, Sarah for instance, would have reacted in a cute way, like this for instance. Oh god, she's back.
何さ、しょうがないっしょ。食べたいけど、すごく我慢してるんだから。なんでって、それは、前にあなたに太ってるって言われたから。でも別
I want to
に
skip this so
あ
bad.
なたに言われたからダイエットしてるわけじゃないよ。勘違いしないでよね、このコケナス。
You know, like a really obvious tsundere, you're so cute when you're blushing, Sarah. Crap, of course I want to escape into delusions with all that was going on.
食べないんですか？
Yua opened her mouth. Her voice was as cold as ever. Her gaze was directed at my feet. There was a plate there. The plate had pasta on it. Pollock egg spaghetti. She'd even put some seaweed flakes on top of it. Oh, wow. It had been there for 2 hours already, though, and the noodles were probably a squishy mess now. Yua had made it. She left the room, leaving me tied without saying a word, and come back 30 minutes later with this pasta. She must have gone out of the building to get to the supermarket and brought the ingredients, and cooked it outside my room. I couldn't understand why she made it herself. She could have just easily brought pre-made something at the convenience store. There might be poison in it, I thought. That's why I hadn't touched it. That, and since I was tied up, I couldn't reach it anyways.
あんたが食べればいい。
It was Yua's stomach that had rumbled. I tried to make my voice sound sarcastic as possible.
あなたを肉体的にいたぶろうとか、そんなつもりはないんです。
It's a little bit too late for that.
私はただ、将軍が出てくるのを待っているだけ。だから、食べてください。
この状態で、食べられると思ってるの？無茶言わないでよ。
Let me feed it to you. Yua stood up and walked over to me, then crouched down right next to me. I looked away in fear, but part of me was hoping that she decided to untie the ropes. She hadn't, though. Yua brought the plate towards me and somehow managed to get the pasta, which had now lost all of its moisture, wrapped around a fork. She brought the fork towards my mouth.
どうぞ。
嫌だ。食べないぞ。
Normally, having a girl feed you was an experience you could only find in an H game. But being fed by Yua right now was only make me want to kill somebody. If you want to feed me, untie me first, damn it. Then I could pretend to eat it and then say it tastes nasty and I don't want it anymore. Then she'd feel real bad, I bet.
レンジでチンしましょうか？
いらないって言ってるじゃないか。
I thought about using my knee to knock the plate out of her hands, but if I pissed her off, there's no telling what she might do to me. So the idea scared the crap out of me, and I gave up on it.
分かってください。決して
I'm doing it to save you, yeah, sure.
あなたを傷つけるためじゃないんですよ。
Once again, way too late for that. What? Was Yua just dumb? Was she literally stupid? Who the hell did she think she was anyways? Save me? Sure, I'd been afraid of the New Gen murders and Shogun. I wanted somebody to save me. But that list of somebodies did not include Yua. I wasn't interested in playing along with the delusions of a crazy chick.
食べて。
God. Takumi, you don't have a choice.
無理にでも食べて。
She put the fork with cold pasta wrapped around it up to my mouth.
食べられますよね。
She drew her face closer to mine. She was staring into my eyes.
食べてください。食べて。
And then she froze. Why did this girl always get so close to me whenever she was mad about something? I pressed my lips onto a thin line and looked away. Even the idea of eating anything this woman prepared for me was disgusting. Oh, man. Oh, she is really, really, really frustrating. Oh, man. I think I'm gonna stop here for today. I think this is about halfway. I don't know. I'm like kind of into it, like kind of a bit into it. Not into what she's doing, but into this episode. I think I'm gonna stop here for today. Oh, you know what? Yua's route was also kind of what I expected it to be about. It was gonna be about her desire to avenge her sister, or at least find the truth about what had happened to her, you know, her death. And there are two ways I was thinking that this was gonna go. Yua was gonna do what she's doing now, where she confronts Takumi and is extremely stubborn and refuses to listen to him and was going to interrogate him. I didn't think it would be so forceful, but honestly, you kind of have to be this forceful if you're gonna do it to Takumi. And the other thing was, I thought maybe she would try to get Takumi on her side, convince him that she no longer suspects him, and wants to also find Shogun, who is going to, you know, who is the killer, or at least she thinks she is, and is going to help find Takumi to find the truth. But clearly it went in the direction of option number 1, where she is still completely psycho and stubborn and essentially just really fucking up right now. I don't know how this is going to end. At this point, maybe Taku will actually get enough mental stress to summon his D-Sword, and Yua doesn't have a D-Sword at the moment, so... Ooh, I kind of forgot about that. This is one of the endings where, like, or not endings, but one of the characters that hasn't had one yet. I think the two characters are, well, her and potentially Nanami. I think Nanami awakened when she was captured. But I wonder if she's going to awaken her to her D-Sword in her own ending. That didn't even occur to me. But we'll find out how this interrogation finishes and do the rest of Yua's ending next time. And until then, I will be seeing you. See ya!